हाय गाइस, गुड आफ्टरनून। आई नो मैं जनरली इवनिंग्स को पॉडकास्ट करती हूँ। आज हम कुछ स्पेशल करने वाले हैं। मैं इस बारे में बिल्कुल मुझे नहीं पता था, ये स्टेम सेल डोनेशन के बारे में। एंड आई विल मिक्स हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश एज यूजुअल, क्योंकि काफ़ी तुम लोग हिंदी भी बोलते हो और इंग्लिश भी बोलते हैं। अगर से आपके पास कोई क्वेश्चंस है यूट्यूब चैट में लिखना, क्योंकि हमने ऑलरेडी क्वेश्चंस प्रिपेयर किए हैं रिलेटेड टू दिस, क्योंकि इतना कुछ हम नहीं जानते। ऐसा हो सकता है जो मैंने क्वेश्चंस प्रिपेयर किए हैं आपको कुछ डिफरेंट पूछना है। यू ऑलमोस्ट यू कैन आइदर जॉइन द जूम चैट और यू कैन आस्क मी ऑन यूट्यूब. Now, what are we going to discuss today is how did this happen? First and foremost, Melissa is my school friend. We know each other since हम लोग स्कूल में कॉन्वेंट में थे लोनावला में, और मेलिसा हमेशा हमारे क्लास की हेड हुआ करती थी। हर टाइम मॉनिटर जब बनना होता तो तुमसे मेलिसा को चूज किया जाता था। बहुत पॉपुलर थी और सब उसको बहुत पसंद करते थे। एंड एज यूजुअल हमारे ज़माने में जैसे तुम लोगों को you have these gadgets and all these apps, we never had any connection with each other for the longest time. And then came Facebook, then came WhatsApp, so that's how we all found each other a few years back. Now recently Melissa, who's in our school group chat, informed us that she's got leukemia. She will explain to you कि कौन सा type है, क्या होता है और कैसे उसको diagnose किया गया है। तो आज मैं जनरली पॉडकास्ट हम लोग बहुत वेरियस टॉपिक्स पे करते हैं, बट टुडे आई एम डूइंग समथिंग डिफरेंट. व्हाई? बिकॉज imagine at my age I still wasn't aware of something like this, and you kids watch so much content. It's possible that you have watched it and you know a little bit, but today we're going to go into detail. क्योंकि आज अगर से आप रजिस्टर करोगे आप शायद किसी की जान बचाओगे, बट लोग क्या करते हैं ये सोच के कि यार हमको नहीं होगा, कोई बात नहीं, देखा जाएगा। ये वाली जो एटीट्यूड होती है ना, जब लास्ट मिनट प्रॉब्लम आती है, रिमेंबर कि इट कैन हैपन टू यू, इट कैन हैपन टू योर फैमिली मेंबर. द मोर डोनर्स देर आर, and it's as simple as a blood donation, which Gayatri from Datri is going to explain. There is going to be a proper presentation to explain how does it work, and it's not as excruciatingly painful as you're thinking. It is not going to be so, हमको लगता है ओ हमको कितना दर्द सहन करना पड़ेगा, बट इमेजिन, और कितना टाइम जाएगा, नहीं, इवन इतना टाइम नहीं जाता है और इतना दर्द भी नहीं होता है. सो ये एक्सप्लेन आपको गायत्री करेगी. द रीजन मैं पॉडकास्ट कर रही हूँ इस पे कि जो 50 एंड अबाव होते हैं उनके स्टेम सेल इतने हेल्दी नहीं होते जितने आप बच्चों के हैं. और मेरे मैक्सिमम फॉलोअर्स 15 टू 30 टू समटाइम्स 35-40 होते हैं. बट आई होप कि तुम लोग ये शेयर करोगे, जैसे तुम अपने मीम्स शेयर करते हो, जोक शेयर करते हो, और पता नहीं कितना कुछ. सो टुडे तुम लोग को मालूम है आई एम अ काउंसलर हु हेल्प्स पीपल फॉर फ्री. आई डू सॉफ्ट स्किल्स ट्रेनिंग, आई एम अ क्लिनिकल हिप्नोथेरेपिस्ट, आई डू एवरीथिंग फॉर यू ऑल फॉर फ्री. सो आज मेरी रिक्वेस्ट क्या है आप लोगों से कि आप लोग ये शेयर करेंगे. स्क्रीन रिकॉर्डिंग अगर से पूरा नहीं शेयर करना, आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड. जस्ट शेयर स्क्रीन रिकॉर्ड करके बिट्स एंड पीसेस, so that people get aware that it is not so difficult to help someone, to save someone's life. Let's all put our efforts together and make a change happen in India, because according to Gayatri, it is the top 3, one of the, I think is the third most. Wait, I'll just put Gayatri on spotlight. She will help me so we can actually talk. So Gayatri, is it in the top 3 list of the most dreaded disease in India?
It is one of the leading, it is.
Leading cause
And blood, and it's only on the rise. And when we talk about stem cell donation, it's not just for people with leukemia or form of blood cancer. There are over 100 different disorders which can be cured by a bone marrow transplant or a stem cell transplant.
Wow. Okay, I don't think I've noticed that part also. Maybe you can go over that.
I will.
In your presentation, what other bimaris that we can sort out if we can be a stem cell donor.
And not just bimaris that we can sort. I mean, these are some of the leading problems that are in India. Things like thalassemia, which
Right.
can impact any one of us tomorrow.
Right. And now I will introduce Melissa. As I said, she's my classmate. And अगर से आप लोग हो सके प्लीज शेयर करना. सिर्फ ये मेलिसा के लिए नहीं है, तुम सबके फैमिलीज के लिए, तुम्हारे लिए है. वी आर ट्राइंग टू डू समथिंग फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस, एंड स्पेशली द इंडियन पॉपुलेशन हु आर सो अनअवेयर कि इतनी सी सिंपल चीज किसी की जिंदगी बदल सकती है. Hi Melissa, welcome.
Hey, thanks Rachna. Thanks for the introduction. And to everybody out there, hi. My name is Melissa Nazareth. I am a mother of a 7-year-old. I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, which is a type of blood cancer, in 2021. I was diagnosed by chance. I had just gone for a small operation, and when they took my blood, they realized that my white blood corpuscles and platelets were low, and I had to meet a hematologist, and then the rest is history. Currently, I am in search of a donor to donate blood-forming cells to save my life. Another fact is that patients rarely find a match in their family. The percentage to find a match in the family is like 20 to 25%. Most patients depend on an unrelated match to save their lives. I don't know how many of you know that blood cancer is curable. It is curable, and the cure is actually you. So the chance of finding an unrelated donor match is 1 in 10,000 and 1 in 100,000. Therefore, I'm requesting and inviting all Indians all over the world to sign up as donors in the hope that one of you will be a match. So if you are a healthy individual between 19 to 50 years of age, you can be my cure, and you can save my life by registering as a donor at datri.com. The testing process to be a donor is simple. It's free. You need to fill out a form, complete a declaration, and give a cheek swab. It will cost you nothing. It will not weaken your body or your immune system, but a simple act from you of being a donor will save my life. Over to you, Rachna.
थैंक यू मेलिसा, थैंक यू सो मच. और गाइस जो जिनको अगर से इंग्लिश का थोड़ा इशू हो रहा है, मैं थोड़ा आप लोगों को बता देती हूँ कि हमारी इतनी बड़ी पॉपुलेशन है और उसमें से आपको पता है बिलो द एज ऑफ 35 ऑलमोस्ट 800 मिलियन यूथ है हमारा इंडियन पॉपुलेशन. उसमें से गायत्री, how many people have donated? Thank you, Melissa.
In India, we are, in fact, next week, hopefully we'll touch our 1,000th donation. We are at 993 as of yesterday.
Okay. So, but still so much more to go.
Oh yeah, miles to go. This is not even a drop in the ocean.
Right, right. And so we'll kick off the presentation. आपको समझाया जाएगा. अगर से कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, गायत्री, maybe you could mix little Hindi. Do you speak Hindi or not at all?
I do. Not very good Hindi, but I can.
हाँ, तो ठीक है. अगर से थोड़ा बीच में, ताकि जो इंडियन ज़्यादा हिंदी बोलते हैं उनके लिए भी थोड़ा मदद हो जाता है. That's why I always mix 2 languages and I try to talk because I have mixed followership. And I hope आज आप लोग कुछ ऐसा सीख के जाएंगे जो ना कि सिर्फ आपके जनरेशन के, आप रिमेंबर आपके बच्चों को भी ये बीमारी हो सकती है, कभी भी किसी को भी जरूरत पड़ सकती है. सो फोकस ऑन द प्रेजेंटेशन, इट्स नॉट वेरी लॉन्ग, एंड उसके बाद हम क्वेश्चन आंसर करेंगे. गायत्री, गो अहेड.
Should I share the screen? Yeah, so as Rachna introduced,
on the presentation. Sorry, just 1 second. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You were saying something?
No, there was a glitch with my YouTube. Okay, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so we've been talking about donating blood stem cells. So hai kya ye? What are we asking you to donate, right? So just to break it down into really simple words for the layman, your blood stem cells are the root of your cells. They are the cells that will become red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. जब इन cells में कोई problem होती है, either they are growing too fast, too slow, not growing at all, different shape, different size, तब you hear of these बीमारी like leukemia, thalassemia, lymphoma. There are over 100 different blood disorders for which the only treatment option is a blood stem cell transplant. So these patients undergo, we've all heard of, हमने सुना होता है about radiation, we've heard of chemo, but in the end, most of them to recover completely will need a blood stem cell transplant or a bone marrow transplant. So to understand what we are actually looking to match, let's take a step back and find out what is HLA. So just like your blood has an RH factor which determines whom you can donate to, say somebody who's A can donate to who's A, and so just like your blood RH factor determines whom you can donate to, your HLA typing determines who you can donate your blood stem cell type to. Right? So they are nothing but the proteins that are on your white blood cells. And this is what is used to match your donor and the recipient. It's not as simple matching as, as A and AB. It is done on 10 different parameters, and a close match between a donor and recipient is mandatory for it to be a successful transplant. Now, this is the tricky part. The probability of finding a genetically matched donor is 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 100,000. So in order for a person to find that one match, he or she would have to go through 10,000 or even as many as 100,000 people, registered donors, in order to find that one match. Over the world, there are about 130 registries. Everybody feeds into a global database. There are 39 million donors registered. So it's all looking very good, right? 39 million donors have world mein. So why are we even doing this session? So why can't Melissa just find a donor from there? Now, this is where ethnicity comes in. So though there are 39 million donors registered, less than 2% are Southeast Asians. So when I say Southeast Asians, it includes your Bangladeshis, Pakistanis, Sri Lankans, Nepalis, everybody in Southeast Asia. But because our HLA typing is such, the highest probability of her finding a match is another Indian, and number of Indians registered across the world is very, very little. So these 39 million donors actually mean nothing to Melissa or to other Indians like her who are looking for a match. And this a bone marrow transplant or a stem cell transplant, though many of us are hearing it for the first time, this has been a procedure that has been in the system since 1973. Donors and recipients have been followed through their lifetimes to make sure that it's completely safe for everybody. How do we register? Part one, you're already doing. You're attending an awareness session or you're watching it on YouTube. You've understood what a bone marrow donation or a blood stem cell donation is. You sign up an application form. This is for people who are between 18 and 50 years of age. You sign the consent form, which tells us that you are a consenting adult who has made this decision. Then you're given something like this. It's called a buccal swab or a cheek swab. You open it. It's very simple. This is the actual method of registration. So you'll see how simple it is. Take it out with the swab side out. Don't touch the swab. Open your mouth. Scrape the inside of your cheek 10 times, put it in the envelope that we provide you, take the other swab the other side on the inside 10 times, put it in this envelope that we provide, seal it and send it back to us. It's actually as simple as that. Now, that little bit about 1800 being because the lab charges, if you went to a lab to get this done, it would cost anywhere between 12 to 15,000 depending on where the lab is. But because we are a non-profit, the lab gives it to us for 1800. So what we do is we try to raise funds so that people see. First thing we do is we consider asking you to pay for your own swab. If you can't, or if you for any reason, then we try and raise funds so that we want to make sure somebody whose heart is in the right place who wants to donate, the lack of 1800 should not be the deal breaker, right? So we will do the 1800 raising of 1800, or we ask that you do the payment if it's something that you would think that you want to. So once the swabs are sent out, the HLA typing is determined and it's stored in our database. We are also part of the global database. So if you register here in India, you could say there is a patient sitting in Nebraska who's looking for a match, and you show up in the global database as a match for him or her. You can still donate and you can still save that person's life. This is just a glimpse of how the registration, what the registration and the consent form looks like. And on the upper right, you'll see the cheek swabs. Down below is a demonstration of how the cheek swab is done, but you can typically do it for yourself. So next steps, once you register, I'll share a link and Rachna will also share a link at the bottom of the video. You click on the link, you register. Within a day, you will get a call from Rajan to verify your address. Rajan is one of our Datri employees. He will verify your address. Datri will then ship out the kit to the address mentioned. Open the kit, fill out the forms, complete the buccal swab like we talked about, seal the envelope, send it back in the self-addressed envelope. it is already prepaid for India Post. So if you're dropping it in one of those old-fashioned mailboxes, please go find one, drop it in. It's already prepaid. If you would like to courier it to us, put it in a courier. I mean, that is something you'll have to arrange. So, you know, the what you have done right now is only step one, which is registering. So you'll be in our database till you're 55 years of age. Between then and now, if you're ever called on to be a match for anyone, whether it's Melissa or it's any other person anywhere in the world who's fighting a blood disorder, first thing we do is we call you. You know, that's why we made you fill in all your information upfront. We call you, we remind you of the commitment you made. And once you consent, we put you through the donation process. The first thing we do is a verification typing. So we make you do this buccal swab thing again, just to make sure that you are you, because it's a big process. So there's no room for error in this. Once that is done, you're put through a pre-screening, which is a health checkup, a panel of blood tests, ECG, echo, chest X-ray, ultrasound. This happens in any hospital that we have a tie-up with in the city that you live in. So, and Datri arranges for everything. Datri arranges to have a cab to pick you up, take you to the hospital, put you through, you know, make the appointments upfront, make the payments upfront, and put you through the health panel. Once the doctor of that hospital says that, yes, you're healthy, you can go ahead and donate, those reports are sent to the patient's doctor, who also vets them and makes sure that you're healthy. And then we also have our Datri's medical director who looks at it. So there are three sets of doctors who are making sure that you're completely healthy. Because if there is even a minor risk to the donor, Datri cannot proceed with the donation. Only when it's established that you're healthy, we start the actual donation process. 4 days before the donation happens, the doctor gives you one booster injection in your upper arm before you head out to work. So you can still go to work, gym, cook, clean, everything. The only thing you can't do in these 4 days is you can't smoke and drink. And on the 5th day, you can donate your stem cells. You can see in the 4th picture, that is how stem cells are donated. And you can see it in the picture on the right. That is Nikhil Kumbar. He's one of our donors from Gurgaon. Nikhil had registered when we did a drive in Google in the company he was working with, that he still works there. And he was a recipient for a 3-year-old child with CGD, which was a fatal blood disorder. So Nikhil, in this picture, has already undergone 4 days of the injection. On the 5th day, he goes, sits in the chair in the blood bank. Blood is taken out of one arm. You can see on both the arms, there are little plasters put. So blood is being taken out of one arm. It's put around a centrifuge such that the extra stem cells his body made because of the booster injection, they are separated out, and the remaining blood comes in through the other arm. You can see those 2 bags that are hanging on the monitor. One of those bags is collecting his blood stem cells. And it's an in and out procedure, takes about 3 to 4 hours. You can watch a movie, read a book. End of 4 hours, you get up, you go back to work, you fly out of the country if you need to, you do everything that you would have otherwise done if you had not donated on that day. We take the stem cells, as you can see in the 5th picture, we take the stem cells and send it to the patient, wherever the patient may be, in a temperature controlled box. We have to make sure that the temperature does not fall below the required amount. So this box is kept in the freezer of the blood bank. The stem cells are collected, it's put in, there's a temperature tracker that accompanies it. This box cannot be opened at any of the security check, or it cannot be put through X-ray. So we have all the papers that accompany this to make sure that this box should not be tampered with. So if at the airport, if you ever see anybody, you know, carrying a metal box with a Datri logo, you know that it's carrying somebody's life-saving cells in them. So, and in the last picture, you see once it reaches the patient, it is transfused into the patient just like a blood transfusion. So it's, you know, after all this, it's actually just a blood transfusion that happens to the recipient. What happens is the stem cells that are collected. So for an adult donor, you donate around 300 ml. If it's for a small child, you donate around 180 ml. And those stem cells are then transfused. They find their way into the recipient's body, find their way into the marrow, where they engraft and start making red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets like they are in the donor's body. So today we are looking, I mean, this specific session has been done asking for a match for Melissa, the one that spoke at the beginning of this session. But Melissa is only one of, I want to say, at least 2,000 people who are actively waiting for a match as we speak. Many of them are little children who have been diagnosed with thalassemia. Thalassemia is still, prevalence of thalassemia is still very high in India, especially in certain belts. Thalassemia is where the baby is born without the ability to make red blood cells. So this baby initially starts with blood transfusions every month. As the baby's the size of the body grows, it becomes once in 2 weeks, and these children cannot live a regular life, because every 2 weeks they're going for blood transfusions, and the overload of blood transfused into them also impacts their other organs, so they end up with other problems, right? So the only solution to this is a blood stem cell transplant, where healthy stem cells from a matched donor resets the system. It goes into the stage where the root of the cells has been replaced by healthy cells, and which can make red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. So today, while we are, you can register for Melissa, the good news is you then get added to the registry. So if not Melissa, even if you're not a match for Melissa, you are still part of the system, so that if you're a match for somebody else, you can still go ahead and save somebody else's life. So Datri is part of the WMDA, which is the World Marrow Donors Association. We follow all the guidelines that have been set up by this body. Plus, we are part of the Global Search Program. So like I said, even if you're not a match for somebody in India, and you are a match for somebody in, say, Israel, you can still go ahead and donate. You will still show up as a match, and you can still go ahead and donate. And for Be the Match, which is the US registry, we are the cooperative registry, which means even the other way around. So there is a patient in India who has found a match, say in the US, they will coordinate with Datri to make the donation happen. These are some of the corporate drives that we have done. We worked with, all these companies and many more that are mentioned there, the Capgemini and Nirma, Tata Consultancy. So we've done drives. Many of these have turned out to be donors and gone on and saved lives in the past. These are just some of the people who have donated in the past, our heroes who have selflessly given their time and gone on and saved lives. When the donor donates and the patient is receiving his or her stem cells, it is anonymous to both parties, keeping in mind the global guidelines. 1 year later, if both parties consent, Datri makes the donor and recipient meet, and can only imagine how emotional these sessions are. Maybe I'll also share some of the videos that we take at these events, because that will tell you the impact of, because see, a donor can register, he may say no when the time comes, and his life will continue, his or her life continues. But for the recipient, that yes or no is the difference between life and death on the other side. And honestly, when it's a patient, it's not just the patient whose life is impacted, it's the family that falls apart when something like this happens. So when you are looking to save somebody, you're actually not just saving that person, it's the entire family and the system around that person. And let me tell you, all these people who have the recipients not just survive, they thrive. They're not just surviving. Like, if you're thinking, oh, I'm just keeping the person alive for a little bit longer, no, you're giving them life back. These little children that you can see, they go to school full time. They're doing, the little boy in the lower left, he plays an instrument, he is part of a sports team in his school. They're doing everything that children their age should be doing. So you're actually giving them a complete lease to life. So how can you help? If you are between 18 and 50 years of age, you register at the link that I will share with Rachna, and she will share. You answer the phone call from Rajan, you fill in the forms, complete the swab, and you send it back to us at the earliest. If you are in India and you're between 50 and 55 years of age, so you've crossed the limit where we can register you online, you send a request with your address to this email ID. You share a screenshot of the donation that you have made, and then you repeat the steps above. If you are outside India, sign up for the registry in your country. Look online and look for the link, register, or you can get it tested in the lab and share your HLA report with Melissa if you're doing it for Melissa this time. And irrespective of your age and where you live, spread the word, because again, there are people who don't even know such a thing exists. Help us organize registration drives. If you know people who need help, like if you know somebody who's a thal patient or a leukemia patient and hasn't heard of Datri, connect them with us. We will help them. So what is the, I mean, we've done all of this. So what is the ask now? You know, there is something. What is your takeaway from the session? If you're healthy, if you're within the age limit, register to be a donor. If you're part of an organization, could be your office, could be your college, could be your place of worship, could be a group of people meeting at a reunion, anywhere where you have about more than 40 to 50 people, reach out. I'll be sharing my number, reach out. We will come there, do either an awareness session and a registration session online, or we can do it in person if we have a Datri person in that area. Spread the word. You know, like Rachna said, we share memes, we share jokes, we share forwards. I think this, and you don't know, this is the, you know, could be the beginnings of the ripples you create. The one link that says, please register, could be the difference between saving somebody's life in the future or not. Consider donating a small amount, because as you know, because we are a non-profit, we try and raise funds through various ways. You know, consider if you want to give up you know, there's so much we spend just on a Starbucks coffee or a cafe coffee day coffee, or maybe a PVR movie. Consider giving up one of these in this week and see if you want to donate that amount, right? And actually do it in honor of everybody who's fighting this battle. If you're unable to register with Datri because of health and age restrictions, consider sponsoring a donor at Datri. Definitely create awareness, friends, family members, watch videos online, register as a donor, and again, help conduct recruitment drives in the community. Numbers that I promised I would share. Reach out to me. I can also share this separately in the link below. And Rajan, this is the person who's going to call you. So, you know, answer the call. If you've registered with Datri, these are the numbers that he could call from. So take the call. Some common questions asked, you know, so I'll just try and answer them quickly. So if you are a match for Mel and somebody else at the same time, will I be given preference? Since you're registering for Mel, the preference is for Mel, definitely, but chances that you're a match for, because remember the probability we spoke about, 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 100,000, chances that you will be a match for multiple recipients, very, very bleak. I want to expedite the results. How much do I have to pay Datri? Right now it's 1,800, but it takes time for us to get the reports. That's the trade-off we have with the lab, that we pay lesser, but the time is more. If you want your results expedited, it costs about 12 to 13,000.
Gayatri, I was just thinking if you stop sharing, I'll ask the question so that way they can see your face, because right now when you share, only the screen is visible. And
Sure.
Tiny, right? Yeah. So you were saying that you can even help, like a lot of people who come from not such affluent backgrounds, उनको इतना 1,800 भी बहुत ज़्यादा पैसा लगता है. So आप लोग help करते हो उनको, you will give them the free of cost, will not cost.
Yes, we will raise funds, and this is why my appeal to people who can afford it is either, you know, so that way then we don't have to use up the funds for people who can afford it, right? And even if, I mean, especially if we have students, you know, we are spending money on so many little things. So if they can consider donating, and every little bit helps. So even if they consider donating, say a 300 or a 500, it adds up. And you never know, that could be the difference someday.
Okay, so आज क्योंकि my followers are mostly very young children and not from very affluent background, so I'll transfer 10,000 rupees to you, so that way whoever.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, so that way we can, at least some will do it free of cost. So please बच्चा लोग register करो और help करो लोगों को. So tell me something that if whoever does this HLA testing, there is a quicker way to do it, right? When you pay, how much is it generally if you do it?
It's around 13 to 15,000, depending on which lab you're reaching out to.
Okay. And they are also connected to you. You will be added to the donor
No,
list.
then it has to be a physical process. Say you get it done from a lab, then you share the HLA report, you get it quickly, and then you share it with us. Also, it helps us because we don't have to spend that 1,800 on you. And plus, it's one more person that gets added to the database.
Right. As of now, we are like trying to look for people in Canada, Portugal, and all of it. So when people are outside India and who are interested, so how can they be donors and where can they be tested? Does
they can Many countries have their own registry. So in the US, there is Be the Match. In the UK, there is Anthony Nolan. Canada has One Match. So they have to reach out to their local registries. And, just like Mel reached out to me in Datri. So they will have my counterpart in all the different countries that will guide them through the process and will work with them to do, awareness sessions like I'm doing here.
And if someone is a match, do they have to go to Singapore? Is the procedure done? Who will be paying for the cost of travel, the stay? Wouldn't it be better to get the procedure done in Singapore rather than doing it in India? And Datri sends the cells by air. So what is your take on this? What is the answer?
So the beauty of all of this is that the donation can be done right here in the city that you live in with very little ask of your time, right? The health checkup that we put you through takes a total of about 3 to 4 hours. The actual the injection that is given to you is done in your house. We bring a lab technician to your house. Takes about 5 minutes. And then on the day of the donation, it takes about 3 to 4 hours. So it's a total of 8 hours of your life that can make the difference for somebody else. So so you really don't even need to leave your hometown or the place you're living in. And Datri takes care of all the expenses. Datri takes care of little things like sending a cab to your house to pick you up, making sure the appointments are done upfront, making sure that you have your tea and coffee when we are waiting. So Datri actually takes care of not only the expenses, tries to make it easier and a good experience for you. Because end of the day, you are doing the act of saving a life. Right. So this is the least that we can do for somebody who's stepping up. And Datri has all the paperwork and everything. And we have done a lot of international donations. So we have the paperwork that allows these stem cells to be transported to the country wherever. I mean, Mel is in Singapore, but like I said, there are patients from across the world. Right. So that's Datri's job. Your job is to only donate. We will take care of everything else.
जिनको ये हिंदी में समझाऊंगी थोड़ा बहुत, अगर से आप कोई भी सिटी में हो, कोई भी कंट्री में हो, वहां पे सब जगह ब्लड स्टेम सेल की अलग अलग रजिस्ट्रीज होती है, अलग अलग नाम से होते हैं. कुछ कॉमन वाले जो है मैं डिस्क्रिप्शन में पोस्ट कर दूंगी. इंडिया के लिए, कनाडा के लिए, कितने सारे इंडियंस अब्रॉड में भी हैं, और सब खर्चा या तो पेशेंट या तो दात्री जिनके साथ आप काम करते हो वो करते हैं. इनिशियल वो खर्चा होता है जहाँ पे आपको सॉफ्स का जो पेमेंट होती है वो भी वो अगर से आप बिल्कुल अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते तो आप वो कर सकते हो. अगर से आपके पास, पर उसको वक्त लगता है. अगर से आपके पास इनफ पैसे हैं तो आप प्राइवेट क्लिनिक में भी टेस्ट करा सकते हो. एंड आप किसी भी कंट्री से कांटेक्ट करके इनको बोल सकते हैं जब आपका मैच होगा. इम्पोर्टेंट आपने सिर्फ सॉफ्ट टेस्ट से कुछ नहीं होता, उसके बाद आपको मैच करना है डोनर से. तो फिर जब वो मैच होता है तो वो ट्रांसफर का जो काम होता है वो तुम्हारा नहीं होता, वो ये लोग करते हैं. वो एयर से करते हैं, जैसे भी करते हैं. आई थिंक देयर इज अ पर्टिकुलर टेम्परेचर जिसमें वो जाता है, वो एक पर्टिकुलर बैग होता है, हमने कभी कभी देखा है एयरपोर्ट पे. सो वैसे वो जाएगा. तो आपको जरूरी नहीं क्योंकि मेलिसा सिंगापुर में रहते कि आपको सिंगापुर जाना पड़े, वो कहीं भी रहकर हो सकता है. करेक्ट गायत्री?
या
सो जस्ट गिव मी 1 सेकंड. And what about once you're deemed fit and these injections? सबसे पहला बात, सब लोगों को इंजेक्शन से बहुत डर लगता है. So what do you have to suggest? Is it very painful? Are they very thick needles, thin needles? Give a little bit.
It is a subcutaneous injection, which means it is given it's given under your skin. It's not a muscular one that is painful. If anything, I think it is even less painful than these vaccines that all of us have taken in the last year.
Okay.
Right. And there are no lasting side effects. We have followed donors through their lifetimes to make sure that there are no lasting side effects. Day 3, day 4 of the injection, you may feel a little bit of tired, little bit of fatigue, but nothing that a Dolo or a Crocin cannot take care of.
तो अभी इन्होंने ये कहा कि जैसे हमने वैक्सीनेशन लिए, हम ब्लड टेस्ट कराते हैं हमारे जब हम बीमार होते हैं, तो इतना पेनफुल नहीं है जितना वो था. और जो 4 या 5 इंजेक्शंस लेने पड़ते हैं, ऑब्वियसली कुछ तो साइड इफेक्ट होगा इसका, क्योंकि वो एक्स्ट्रा स्टेम सेल बना रहे हैं आपके बॉडी में. तो दैट इज अ गुड थिंग. कुछ आपके बॉडी को एक्स्ट्रा स्टेम सेल बनाने से वो निकल जाता है. और थोड़ा बहुत जो डिस्कम्फर्ट होता है वो एक क्रोसिन, पैनाडोल या डोलो से ठीक हो सकता है. इसमें डरने की कोई बात नहीं. इन्होंने बहुत सालों से ये किया है और फॉलो अप किया है. जिन्होंने डोनर्स थे उनको कुछ नहीं होता. तुम एक्स्ट्रा कुछ स्टेम सेल दे रहे हो, कुछ ले नहीं रहे हो अपने बॉडी में, तो रिलैक्स आप लोगों को कुछ नहीं होगा ऐसे. So, Gayatri, I just wanted to ask you कि there are two ways of retrieving bone marrow, right? Who decides which way is better, and what are the two ways? Because when I knew about it, I didn't know it was only blood donation. Now I knew about the extraction from the marrow. So, for Melissa or for anyone, how does one decide which one will be better?
So the disease the patient has decides which method of extraction is used. So basically it is the doctor that decides, the treating doctor that decides. Having said that, most of the donations that we have done, or the ones that are done across the world, are through the blood, peripheral blood stem cell donation. In the few cases which it's imperative that the recipient needs a bone marrow transplant, the doctor reaches out to us, tells us that, hey, we need a bone marrow transplant, and that is how we counsel the donor.
Okay.
But the final decision is the donor's which way he wants to donate. Say, even if the doctor says he wants a bone marrow donation, but the donor is not comfortable, we still proceed. I mean, if the doctor agrees, then we go ahead with the PBSC through the blood.
Okay.
So the bone marrow donation is, you get admitted the night before into the hospital, and under GA blood, the marrow is collected from your hip bone, not your spine. The common misconception is it's through your spine. Spine is not touched, it's through your hip bone. Again, it takes about an hour, and then you're brought out, you're kept in the hospital for a day for observation. And on the third day, you're let, you go home, you take rest for a little bit, because it is, you may have a little bit of discomfort, and the week later, you're just good to go.
And what are the illnesses in case someone has who cannot be a donor, or जैसे अगर से hepatitis हो चुका है या diabetes है, what can you give a little bit?
If they have diabetes, लेकिन अगर insulin नहीं ले रहे हैं, they're just taking regular medicine, तो please donate, आप donate कर सकते हो. अगर you have high blood pressure, again you can donate, unless it is any of this is in the critical range. या तो किसी का heart problem है, blockages हैं, वो donate नहीं कर सकते till it is fixed. Like that is, all underlying conditions have to be fixed. Somebody who has active blockages will not be allowed to donate unless the cardiologist signs off on him.
Right.
For example, you have to be between 18 and 50 years of age, like I said, 18 to 55 in order to donate. You cannot be a cancer survivor yourself, because that person's body also would have undergone a lot. They should not be the recipient of an organ in the past, should not be HIV positive, should, if it is diabetes, should not be on insulin. If it is high blood pressure, it should be in the safe range, which is why a panel of blood tests is done, right? And if there are any, then it is case by case. When they register, that is why Rajan calls them. So that is a good time to say, hey, I have so-and-so disorder, and, will I qualify? And Rajan will get, if it's a very rare condition, Rajan will get the answer and call that person back. But these are the general guidelines.
Okay.
So which means most people do qualify.
Okay. And what if a woman is perimenopausal or menopause or something? You said it till 55, but even in the US, it's only till 35 or something, right?
Yeah. So different registries have different, because they have a population. I mean, their registry is large enough. When they started off, the range was higher, but because they have a large enough range now, large enough database now, they have brought down the age of registration. I'm hoping someday we can too. If we are large enough, then we can afford to have these cutoffs. But as of now, and also it is safe. I mean, there is nothing really that stops a person who's from donating. And so to answer your question, menopause, perimenopause, no, it is not a deal breaker. The only thing we do is we make sure that the actual donation does not happen during the week of the menses, only because why stress the body out a little more?
Right. That's true. And what happens if whoever's registering only wants to donate for Melissa, and after that don't want to be part of it? Can they remove the name?
No, then they don't register. Then we ask you, don't register through Datri, get it done through a lab. And because end of the day, Datri is not a lab, right? We are a registry, and this is how we grow.
Yeah.
So all the people, the 500,000 people that we have right now, many have registered for their loved ones in the past. right? So, and that's, I mean, the good thing is you don't have to do it only for one person. So this actually is a good thing, because then you are able to, your reach of help is the universe, then is the whole world.
And can I just add to that, Rachna, actually? So although we are requesting people to join, to join as a donor now, and a lot of my friends are doing it. So for example, supposing you've signed up, right? Now, tomorrow, if you are a match, during the process, they are not going to tell you it's for Mel.
Yeah.
And they are not going to tell me that it is Rachna. So inadvertently, if you say no, you might be saying no to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because they keep it confidential, right? So no one gets to know. So the thing is that once you're in the system, you are a match for anybody who needs you. And I think that's the spirit of
But
it.
what about the photographs we saw? The people are meeting people, or what photographs were those?
Those were 1 year later, if both parties consent, then we arrange for a meeting, because till then they don't know who the recipient is, and the donor doesn't, I mean, recipient doesn't know who his donor is. So 1 year later, we set up that meeting. We get consent signed, and I'll share some videos.
Sure. Yeah. And tell us, what is the general time investment from the beginning till all this is done, the blood donation, stem cell donation is done? What is the approximate investment of time?
Across these many days is, like I said, a total of 8 hours.
Okay. See, बच्चे लोग 8 घंटे में आप किसी की जिंदगी बचा सकते हो. So I hope जैसे ये पॉडकास्ट खत्म होके जो लोग बाद में भी देख रहे हैं, मेक श्योर, और जो भी काम कर रहे हैं अपने कंपनीज में, अगर से आपके 50+ एम्प्लॉइज हैं, आप दात्री को कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं. यू कैन इवन हैव अ अवेयरनेस ड्राइव फॉर देम आल्सो, राइट?
Yeah.
And
people have reached out after the last session I did. People have reached out saying they would like to do a similar session in their organization.
And I think RP, you had a question. Anyone else, any questions? Anything I left out, because some were repetitive questions, so I didn't ask them. Just if you want to check if anything is we missed out. किसी को और कोई questions पूछने हैं? Aruna, would you like to ask some questions, or RP, you want to take any answer? Ask any questions?
Yeah, I had a question. So age 55, like from 50 to 55. What if you're beyond 55?
Then we don't register you. It's only because some people, I mean, that is when, some other illnesses and ailments come into play. So we try, I mean, that's where somewhere we have to have a cutoff, right? So that's our cutoff.
Yeah, and actually I did speak to my doctor about this as well, and I think the take is that the older you get, your stem cells age with you as well. Now we have to remember that, for me as a recipient, receiving someone's stem cells are basically foreign bodies entering my own body, right? So the healthier the stem cells, the better for me. So the general consensus is that the younger the donor, the healthier the stem cells. So that's why you'll see most registries have a cutoff of even 35 years of age, because they say, the best donor, the best stem cells you find between 19 to 35. That being said, it's not impossible for someone even at 50 and 55 to donate, because you can have very healthy people at that age donating as well. But then as we age, the stem cells also start deteriorating. So that's the reason why we have those cutoffs.
Okay, so for somebody like me who's 24 years old, it will be fine.
Yes, you'll be forever 24, Rajesh. Yes, it's perfectly fine. You'll be my ideal match.
So now this stem cell donation, is it a one-time thing? I mean, you do it once and then the patient gets it once, or do they have to have for the entire life?
No,
every so many months or years they have to take
No. It is a one and done. So once, because, so on the recipient side, I've only talked about what happens on the patient side, on the donor side. On the recipient side, what happens is, once the match has been finalized, the recipient undergoes something called conditioning, where her stem cells are wiped out completely. Her cells are wiped out completely, the good and the bad. That is when the patient is put in a BMT unit, typically in rooms with HEPA filters, which are completely, sterile, because at that point the patient does not even have the resistance to fight a common cold, right? And will not be allowed visitors, will have to be extra sterile. I think almost like a plus version of what we did in COVID times, right? Not interact with too many people. And because the patient's stem cells are wiped out completely and is immunocompromised, will be kept under special care. And only when the new stem cells come in, they find their way into the marrow, engraft, and start multiplying like they would in the donor's body. Once the engraftment happens, the first year the patient takes a little bit of extra care, but after that, unless the body has rejected it, unless the body has gone into something where the patient's body is fighting the new cells and the donor's body is trying to take over, in most of the cases it goes, I mean, of course it's easier for us to say it's smooth, that the patient has to deal with it, but then in the big picture, once they cross a rough road, on the other side when they emerge, they lead a normal, healthy, happy life.
Okay, great. Just one more question. It might sound a little technical, but just out of curiosity, now, for example, when they do a donation of the stem cells, now, for example, if it's a blood cancer, which there is an excessive production of white blood cells by the marrow of the patient. Now, when you give these stem cells and it assimilates properly, the underlying cause that caused the excessive production of white blood cells, wouldn't that still exist? I mean, yeah, sure, you're giving new stem cells and it's going to create white blood cells, but wouldn't you still have if the underlying cause has not been addressed?
So they will be on medications for a bit. And remember, we are fixing the underlying cause, the faulty marrow that had gone crazy, which was making these excess blood stem cells and these mutant cells, that is being wiped out with all the heavy dose of chemo that she's going to undergo during the conditioning. And it's going to actually replace that. And it's going to behave how it is in the donor's body. But even after that, it's not like the patient just gets up and goes home. There are follow-ups. There is a certain amount. And also, once fun fact, once the donation is done, once the transplant is done, the patient actually has to take all her vaccinations again. Has the immune system of a baby, will have to start with all the vaccinations that we did as infants. Wow. So that is how, has the immune system of a baby now, is almost reborn, which is why when we do these little events, we call them the rebirth days. So Melissa, remember, that's the term we are going to use for your rebirth day also. So, when it's almost like being reborn.
Donor had already taken all these vaccinations, you'll have to still start all over. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So Rajesh, like Gayatri said, there is a chemo session planned. So when they are actually getting the donor's blood on that side, over here, they will be prepping me for chemo. And what they will do is and I've been through this when I went through the chemo the first time, they actually give you chemo which kills all your cells, the good and the bad. So you have no cells left in you, right? And then what they will do is they'll transfuse me with these cells. So that underlying problem goes, and that's why it needs to be replaced. So like my doctor said, she said, you have a bone marrow with cells in it. It's a factory. It's doing something, but our end result is not what it's supposed to be. So we need to change the engine that's inside. And that is going to be the stem cells from a healthy donor.
Okay.
So
that's pretty clear. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's an entire reboot of a system.
Gayatri, you're going to tell us, besides blood cancer, what others, if you become a stem cell donor, what other ailments can it help with?
So it can solve the malignant disorders like your leukemia, AML, ALL, CLL, different. See, leukemia is just an umbrella term that is used, right? Under leukemia, there are, depending on whether it's acute, whether it's chronic, whether, which kind of cells there are more subgroups. So it is a cure for all these malignant disorders. Then there are the non-malignant ones. There is thalassemia, where the baby is born with this disorder, and there are a lot of these inherited disorders. Right. Where the baby is born with where the marrow is already messed up when the baby is born. Then there are these disorders like aplastic anemia, where the marrow just shuts down. So the marrow is doing nothing, right? So, and these are the ones that will need the match sooner, because it's like a time bomb ticking. They need the match at the earliest. So there are, like I said, 100 different blood disorders that can be cured by a bone marrow transplant or a blood stem cell transplant. Anything where the fault lies in the marrow, in the blood stem cells, is a candidate for this.
I don't have any more questions. If anyone has, please write. Otherwise, we will end the session.
And let me just, another fun fact is that there is only a 25% chance that your sibling will be a match. Because remember the 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 100,000. Now that when it's your immediate family, if it's your sibling, there's a 25% chance. But now with families getting smaller, people having 1 and 2 children, that also, it's very rare to find a match within the family.
Right.
And which is why it becomes, as the generations go by, it becomes even more important that there is a large enough registry. See, when there is a Caucasian patient looking for a match, because the registry of Caucasians is that big, most of them will find matches. In fact, many will find multiple matches. Whereas in India or Indians, wherever they may be in the country that has the most advanced systems in the world, but because of the fact that they're Indian, their ethnicity, the odds are already stacked against them, because the probability of them finding a match is this bleak.
Right.
So it's important that, see, the ideal situation is when a patient comes to us, we should have a match that is ready, the transplant happens and everybody is happy, right? But unfortunately, because that match is not already waiting, which is why we are doing this, we're running like headless chicken like this.
Right.
Hopefully, when more people register, there will be a point where we will be where the Caucasians are.
Right. Okay. I hope one day we'll reach there.
Yep.
And thank you so much, Gayatri, for being here. Thank you for helping Melissa. And I hope all of you all, whoever is watching, please contact Datri, and I will post the other links in case someone is watching from somewhere else in the world and not India. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for whoever joined the Zoom today. Okay, here somebody has questions. Yes, Nashikar, go ahead. I can unmute you if you want to ask or you want to text.
Okay. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I was curious about one question. So I have a twin brother. So if he's and I have a same genetic makeup, so what will be the possibility, that he will be a match? What is the percentage?
If I think it depends on if you're an identical twin or a fraternal twin. If you are a fraternal twin, there is we've helped patients in the past where though they're twins, they're not actually a match for each other. But if they're identical, they will. So your question is whether you can help him or help.
He will help him.
Yeah. If you're an identical twin, yes.
Yeah, identical twin.
If you're identical, then yes, you share the same genetic makeup. If not, then it's the same 25% chance.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Question? No. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Gayatri. Thank you, Mel, for being here. God bless you. I hope that you find a donor soon.
Thanks, Rachna, for organizing this. Thank you, everybody who's joined, and thanks, Gayatri. We'll take it from here one day at a time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
अच्छा तो बच्चे लोग मैं भी चलती हूँ. I can see just few people showed up. ये एक और किसी ने लिखा अच्छा लगता है दोपहर में आपको सुनना. कैसे अच्छा लगता है, हार्डली कोई आया है आज दोपहर में. शाम को ज्यादा लोग आते हैं पर इनको ये टाइम सूट कर रहा था. तो चलो कोई बात नहीं, होपफुली आप लोग शेयर करोगे. कल का डिनर बहुत अच्छा था और I had fun. Do share this with as many people as you can. एंड मैंने तो वैसे भी स्टोरी में भी लगाया है, फिर से यूट्यूब में लगाऊंगी. अगर से पूरा पॉडकास्ट नहीं शेयर करते तो एटलीस्ट छोटे क्लिप शेयर करो, स्पेशली जब वो प्रेजेंटेशन दे रहे थे और वो पर्टिकुलर स्लाइड जहाँ पे लिख रहे थे ना कि व्हाट इज द एंड टू एंड, यहाँ से स्टार्ट करके यहाँ पे इतना डिफिकल्ट नहीं है. रजिस्टर करना, फॉर्म भरना, स्वैब टेस्ट करना अपना, और फिर बाद में इन केस यूर अ मैच, फिर टोटल तुम्हारे 8 घंटे पूरे जिंदगी के जाते हैं जस्ट किसी की जिंदगी बचाने के लिए. सो प्लीज 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 ऑल ऑफ यू ऑल, आपको इंडिया के लिए कुछ करना है. आई नो हमेशा हम लोग एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि कोई हमारे लिए करेगा, बट तुम लोग क्या कर रहे हो दूसरों के लिए, अपनी कंट्री के लिए क्या कर रहे हो. मैं तो मैं इंडिया को 30 साल पहले छोड़ कर आई थी. मैं अभी भी वो मेरे में वो जज्बात है कि नहीं शायद, और अभी उन्होंने बोला 100 बीमारी इससे हम लोग हेल्प कर सकते हो, और इट्स जस्ट लाइक ऑलमोस्ट लाइक अ ब्लड डोनेशन. एंड यस ऑफ कोर्स आप हेल्दी नहीं हो तो आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड, बट जस्ट इमेजिन आप किसी की जिंदगी बचा सकते हो. तुम लोग सब इतने मसरूफ हो अपने लाइफ में करियर बनाने के लिए, अपना पढ़ाई लेकर. तुम लोगों ने अपनी सबको एक जिंदगी मिली है, तुमने सिर्फ लेगेसी अपने बारे में बनाई है कि मुझे कैसे कुछ मिल सकता है, मैं सारा टाइम हम उसी के बारे में सोचते हैं। हम ये नहीं देखते कि हमारे जाने के बाद हमारे बारे में लोग क्या कहेंगे, हम किस किस्म के इंसान थे, हमने क्या डिफरेंस लाया इस प्लेनेट पे, एक लाइफ लेकर आए थे, हम क्या छोड़ के क्या जा रहे हैं। यही कि हम अपने लिए काम करते थे, पैसा कमा लिया, that's about it, but you didn't actually help the planet in any way. You didn't do even like this much. And I hope, जैसे मैं जो मेरे से बनता है वो मैं करती हूँ, राइट। आई फील कि मैं मुझे तो पता नहीं था इंडिया में इतना इश्यूज चल रहे हैं, आई एम ट्राइंग टू डू माई बिट इन माई वे। सो आई होप यू ऑल विल डू योर बिट फॉर योर ओन। बाहर के लोग नहीं, जैसे आपने सुना है कि इंडियंस को इंडियन का एथनिसिटी की वजह से हमको अपने इंडियंस को मदद कर सकते हैं। So please go and register today, no matter which part of the world you are watching me. Save a life, okay? And I shall come back to you all maybe in the middle of the week. I will do a podcast, but if not 31st, I'm planning a dining etiquette session. सबको सीखना जरूरी है. This is a must of life. How to sit, eat, कैसे चम्मच काटा, कैसे पकड़ते हैं, and all that. So we are going to do that. ठीक है? अपना ध्यान रखो, गॉड ब्लेस यू। मैंने सॉरी यूट्यूब पे इधर भी कुछ 5 कुछ आया था क्या। आई एम 17 बट आई विल डेफिनेटली डू इट। ओके गुड। आई एम प्राउड ऑफ यू। हाँ मैं करूँगी बिफोर आई मूव टू दुबई। आई ट्राई टू डू 1 लेमन डाउन सेशन, दैट इज ऑन द कार्ड्स। ठीक है, टेक केयर ऑफ योरसेल्फ। गुड नाइट गाइज। गुड नाइट क्यों बोल रही, इतनी गंदी आदत है गुड नाइट बोलने की, क्योंकि मैं हमेशा शाम को करती हूँ गुड नाइट नहीं, गुड आफ्टरनून। हैव अ रेस्ट ऑफ योर, आज संडे है, हैव अ गुड इवनिंग एंड एंजॉय योरसेल्फ। ये भी गुड नाइट लिख रहा है। ओके, टेक केयर, बाय, सी यू।